Her previous.
All right. Hey everybody, this lesson today is for Wednesday, February 24th, and it's a pre-recorded lesson just so you feel prepared to start your task for today. Our standard says express a fraction with a denominator of 10 as an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100 and use this technique to add two fractions with respective denominators 10 and 100. So today we're really just going to be talking about finding common denominators between tenths and hundredths, and then using models to help us add. Okay. The learning target says I can make equivalent fractions for tenths and hundredths, like we did yesterday, and I can add those tenths and hundredths. So think about what you know. How could you solve this problem to see if your idea works? So just kind of think about what you might do to solve this problem. I give you a clue there to look at the denominators specifically. Okay. If you think that you could just add straight across, that is incorrect. Look at the denominators. They're different. And we've never talked about this before. Never really talked about what do you do when you have different denominators. So we're going to practice that today. All right, let's watch this video together and maybe you'll get a better idea, and then we'll do some practice.
In this lesson, you will learn how to work with fractions that have a denominator of 10 or 100. Fractions with a denominator of 10 or 100 are special because they can also be used to express decimal numbers. Now, when the denominator of a fraction is 10, the fraction represents tenths. And when the denominator of a fraction is 100, the fraction represents hundredths. To understand the relationship between tenths and hundredths, let's learn how we can rewrite fractions that have 10 in the denominator as an equivalent fraction that has 100 in the denominator. In this instance, we're going to work with the fraction 4 tenths. Let's take a look at 4 tenths in a model. This model shows 4 tenths because the model as a whole contains 10 equal parts, and 4 of those parts are being used. So we've got 4 tenths in this model here. Now let's take a look at 4 tenths represented in a hundredths grid. Here's a hundredths grid, and it's the same size of the whole that we have in the tenths grid, and this just has 100 divisions instead of 10 divisions. When you look at 4 tenths in this type of grid, you can count all the little squares that fill up this yellow space, and when you count, you find that there are 40 yellow squares out of 100 that are in this grid. So that means that the fraction 4 tenths is equivalent to 40 100ths. Now let's solve an addition problem with these types of fractions. So I've got a new problem written below, and we want to find the sum. 5 tenths plus 3 100ths. To do this, we need to write 5 tenths as an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100. And as you saw in the first problem, what we need to do is first visualize 5 tenths in a tenths grid, and then take a look at what 5 tenths looks like when represented in a hundredths grid. So let's look at the tenths grid first. And this is 5 tenths because there are 10 equal parts and 5 of those parts are being used. So here's 5 tenths in the tenths grid. Now let's see what this looks like in a hundredths grid now. Now if you count the number of yellow squares in this hundredths grid, you'll find that there are 50 squares filled in yellow out of a total of 100. So the equivalent fraction of 5 tenths is 50 100ths. So now let's rewrite our addition sentence as 50 100ths, right, because that's equivalent to 5 tenths, plus 3 100ths. Now both these fractions have the same denominator, so we can add by keeping the denominator the same and then adding the numerators. 50 plus 3 is 53. So the sum is 53 hundredths. And that means that 5 tenths plus 3 100ths equals 53 100ths. And we were able to do that by writing an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100. In this lesson, you've learned a little bit more about fractions. Thanks for watching.
All right, see you next time. All right, so I do have some pictures here of 10 grids and 100 grids. And if we were able, I would love to show you how they literally fit on top of each other. You can see that. You can see that if I colored in just one bar, you could color in one bar over here too. You're just going to have smaller pieces, but you can still color in that one bar. So we're going to be practicing with pictures today. We always start with pictures first to help our brain. So let's try these. I have 14 hundredths plus 3 tenths, which is what I asked you to look at here on this slide. So we're going to do this one together. I have highlighted the numerator or the denominators because they don't match. We need to change these tenths to hundredths in order to solve. Okay. So I'm going to get out my little marker. I'm going to use I'll use pink because that's what we have here. And I want to know how many tenths are 3 tenths is how many hundredths. So I'm just going to color in 3 tenths here. Okay. And if I wanted to color that in nicer, I can, I guess. Whatever. Dun, 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 dun. We have to have transition music. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, there we go. Not my best work. But there's 3 tenths. So if I colored in 3 bars on this model, then I'm going to color in 3 bars over here. Okay. As best as I can. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Doodle, doodle, doo, 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 doo. And I'm done. All right. So these 2 pictures really show the same amount of space being taken up. Just one of them's broken into 10 pieces, which is this one, and one of them's broken into 100 pieces. So if 3 tenths is shown in our first model, count how many small squares are colored in on the second model of 100 pieces. All right, you should have noticed that there are 3 pieces shaded here, but there are 30 pieces shaded here. So what that means is that 3 tenths is the same as 30 hundredths. All right, so now when I solve this problem, instead, what I'm actually solving is 14 hundredths plus 30 hundredths. And they have matching denominators now, so that's way easier. Okay? And I could solve right across if I want to, but because we're using visuals today, we're going to do that. So I'm going to use yellow to show my 14 hundredths over here. So that's going to look... Sorry, you guys, I get the giggles. So that's going to look like... that's going to look like this. And then, sorry guys, I'm laughing. Woo, okay. And then I'm going to use this pink color again to show... All right, guys, sorry. Sometimes you just laugh so hard. I could not help it. Okay, so I have this pink color here. And I'm going to now show not 3 pieces, but 30 hundredths. Remember, 3 tenths is the same as 30 hundredths. So I'm going to color those in. I'm just doing 3 rows here. It's just easiest. Okay. Being very meticulous here. All right, and I'm just going to add up all those pieces there. So I could, like I said, I could go straight across, or I could, use a picture. I know 30 plus 14 is going to be 44, and my denominator is going to stay the same. So your total answer here should be 44 hundredths. Okay, and we can check that here. This is like the teacher work, if you just want to see. 3 tenths is the same as 30 hundredths. This person drew the 30 hundredths and then drew the 14 hundredths. Either way, you still get 44 hundredths as your answer. All right? So I would love for you guys to try this one. So feel free to pause the screen. Just go ahead and pause the video and try this. Remember, you have to find an equivalent fraction for 5 tenths first using the picture. Then you can actually solve. Okay? So go ahead and pause the video. Okay, for those of you who are ready to go ahead and solve, we will do that now. Choose a new color. We notice that the denominators are not the same, so we have to find an equivalent fraction. So 5/10 is going to be 5 of these bars filled in. Okay, so should look something like this once I'm done coloring and being extra. So there's 5/10, and you want to color in the same portion on the hundredths. So I'm just going to, I know there's 100 pieces here, but I'm just going to think of it as the 10 bars. So I'm going to go over, I'm going to color in 5 bars here. Okay. And so now they're taking up the same amount of space, but instead of counting tenths, I'm counting hundredths. So I want to see out of all these 100 pieces, how many are actually shaded. I'm just going to count by 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So I know that 5/10 is the same as 50 hundredths, and that looks horrible. Let's try it again. There we go. Knew I could do better. Okay, so 5/10 is the same as 50 hundredths. So we're going to rewrite this problem here as 50 hundredths plus 26 hundredths. You can solve that going straight across if you want. We'll practice that more tomorrow. But I would like for you to show it with a model as well. So I'm just going to do I'm going to draw my 50 hundredths. Okay. I'm going to do that in a color I've already been using just to help my brain. Again, looking for perfection here. Just trying to have a visual. All right, so there's 50 hundredths. And then I'm going to choose a different color to show the 26 hundredths. So I've shown 50 hundredths, now I'm going to show 26 hundredths. So that's going to be 20 pieces. And then 6. So there's 3, 4, 5, and 6. And after I color those in, I should be able to see my total. And so now, out of 100 total pieces, I see 76. I have 50 plus 26. That gives me 76 hundredths. That should have been your answer. Okay. And we can check the teacher work. There you go. That's what we did. 5/10 is the same as 50 hundredths. 50 hundredths plus 26 hundredths is 76 hundredths, right? So this is our lesson today, you guys. You're going to be practicing this skill today in your work time. There is this fractions multiples of 10 poster that is available to you on Seesaw as just like, a guide for your journal if you want to use it. I'll make sure that that's on there for you. As usual, you have your math choice board you're working on this week. So choose 2 activities. And then this is your task today. You are practicing adding tenths and hundredths using visual models. All right. If you finish your task today, you can work on your choice board. If you finish that, you can go on Zern or Prodigy, although I highly recommend Zern because it is aligned or it's the same as what we're doing in class. So when you go on Zern, your mission is going to have to do with tenths and hundredths. So what a great way to practice. Okay. Right, and then for our closing, for our ticket out the door, when you are ready, just try this one on your own. Try seeing if you can find an equivalent for 4/10, and then actually solve this problem. Okay? All right, good luck, you guys.